Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, how are
Hello,
you?
Hi.
ladies.
Welcome to another episode of Mothers Against Racism, a conversation about race from a mother's perspective. Tonight we have a very special guest and someone who actually is probably the orchestrator of Donna and I's
Oh
friendship.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And ironically, we Donna and I met at a Mother's Day brunch that was being held and hosted by Shannon Allen.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that's how Donna and I first met. And I know if you've watched the previous episodes, you hear about that story when we first met and how we connected and remained friends. But Shannon was very instrumental in our friendship, and we attended several Celtics games, the three of us together, and really shed some great times. So this
Ray
has come
Allen for
full
three.
circle. Yes. This is a full circle for Donna and I, and we would be remiss if we did not have this special guest on to share some memories and to just kind of chit chat about life and get all caught up. So,
Thank you.
without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I think we lost Donna.
There she
There
goes.
she is. I'd like to introduce Shannon Allen, the
I'm
lovely.
I'm hearing a loop. I'm hearing a loop, Dania.
Are you? I don't.
That's
I don't hear it. We don't
yeah.
hear it here. You still hear it?
Okay. No, not right now. Okay, good.
Okay, great.
That's why I was
Okay.
trying to adjust it, see if it was me.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'm
So
the
we want to
technically
introduce
challenged one.
Shannon Allen, the wife of the NBA two-time championship and All-Star Ray Allen,
Hall of
and a mother of
Famer. Hall of
a Hall of
Famer.
Famer Ray
That's
Allen.
right.
A mother of five wonderful children who she'll talk about tonight. An entrepreneur, an activist, an actor, a singer, so many wonderful things all wrapped up into
Dancer,
one. A dancer, and by the end of the night, you love her just as much as we love her. But
chef.
chef, so many things. But we're happy to have you, and I just want to say welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies. Wow, that was a minute ago when we had that brunch. That was quite a while ago. So I'm
Yes.
really just honored to be here with you guys for a very important topic that is definitely near and dear to my heart. And it feels good to be back with you guys and to be able to share. Thank
Well,
you.
that's great. That's great. Donna, do you want to talk a little bit about how you and Shannon met? She's still having the loop. I think we lost
I
Donna.
wonder if it's me. Do I have my audio? Is my audio making it tweaky?
You seem fine to me.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually I hear it, but I'm surprised with her headphones. She's not. Um,
I see a puppy in the background. Uh-oh. So cute.
Donna's puppies pop up every now and then. They're also part of the show.
I love it. Well, you'll probably see one or several of my little ones in the background, and I hope they're not too distracting. But this is mom life in
Yes,
the time
it
of a global
is.
pandemic. I wonder how many books are going to be written about mom life in the time of a global
Yes.
pandemic.
Yes.
Right? So crazy.
So Shannon, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Gosh, where do I begin? So I am I'm the oldest of three girls. I grew up in Connecticut in a really small town called Middletown, which is right in the middle of the state. My mom is a superhero. She's a strong Black woman, entrepreneur. They call her the Barracuda in my town.
Wow.
She owns and operates, she's a broker owner of a real estate company, the number one independently owned real estate company in central Connecticut. My mom is really a force. And her father, my grandfather, Francis J. Silva, was the commissioner of minority small business for the state of Connecticut. And all of his children were entrepreneurs in some way. My uncle Michael owned and operated the largest engineering firm in Asia, which he sold for $250 million. Black man, brilliant. My uncle Butchie, may he rest in peace, had a cleaning company. My auntie Sherry had a hair salon. My auntie Andy and Inez had gift shops. And my grandmother, who was my favorite person on the planet, was very entrepreneurial as well. So on my mom's side, were Black people of Cape Verdean descent, which I know there's a large population of Cape Verdeans in the Northeast.
Yes.
Very proud people. And then on my dad's side, my dad is from Torrington, Connecticut. English, Irish, German, French, Canadian, and Welsh. He's a bit of a mutt. But he has a really interesting backstory also. His parents were divorced when he was only 15 years old, and he really took on the father role. And his mom had a really interesting childhood. She actually didn't know that she was Jewish until her mom was passing away on her deathbed and told my grandmother Ruthie, I've never told anyone this, but I'm actually a Jew. You're a Jew. So I grew up celebrating Christmas and Hanukkah. You had a really diverse background. And, our family photos, if you look at them, they're like the United Nations, right? Everybody of every hue, every hair type, every nose type, playing at all different kinds of churches and synagogues and mosques and you name it. We do everything loud and with lots of food. But I'm like a product of America, like most people are. And I grew up in Middletown, Connecticut. As I said, I was a singer and an actress. My music is my first love, as Donna can attest, which is how she and I met. I was producing my cousin's group, the Goonies, and I went to Donna to help with live performances. I think of all the things that I am, and you guys mentioned a lot of them, I think all of them are true, except maybe chef and dancer. I'm a home cook.
Oh, no. You're a good chef. You used to have
You
that
had
great
a show.
I know.
Yes.
But I mean, technically I don't wear the white coat, right? But I'm definitely not a dancer. I dance in my group for videos because that's what you have to do. But by no means am I a dancer. But yeah, I mean, I think the crux of it, who am I really? I'm really a songwriter. That's what I really do. That's what I love to do. Besides being a mother and a wife, I'm really, that's who I am. And everything that I've ever done in my entire life is a song. All of it. From the TV show that I produced to now grown, I'm the CEO of an organic certified fast food restaurant chain. And people always ask, like, how did you figure this out? This menu, organic, local, sustainable, the chairs, the shiplap on the walls, the bossa nova playing in here. I feel like I'm, my grandmother's house for breakfast if my grandmother lived on the ocean in the south of France. And I'm like, listen, all of it is a song.
Right.
There's a melody, there's harmonies, there's a bass line.
Yes.
All of it is a song. It's the same energy, creation energy. So at the very root of it all, I'm an ideator. That's who I really am.
That's awesome. And, obviously, when I met you for the first time, I think you have a wonderful personality. You're very warm and engaging and just like open. And you welcomed me. I was new to Boston at the time. I had just gotten a job at Northeastern University.
Yes, my alma mater.
And you were like, come on, this is who you need to know. This is who you need to meet. Let's go, sister.
Yes.
So I definitely appreciate that guidance early in, during my time in Boston.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? That's kind of what life is about, right? I mean, I was thinking about this yesterday. I did a panel last night, a Black consciousness panel that was shown all over the world, and it was based out of a group in Trinidad and Tobago, and there was two other Black female entrepreneurs on the line, and a great moderator, and we were talking about the art of collaboration and how a lot of times for women, people of color, we're already starting. Like if everybody else is starting on third base, we're like in another park somewhere.
Yes.
We're like in another park. We don't have a bat. We don't have a glove. We don't have a ball. We don't have the right uniform. Nobody invited us. We hear in the distance.
Our rules are different.
Right? And we hear in the distance that ball is happening. So someone's starting on third base and we're like rushing there. So what helps us, I think, in a lot of ways, create the magic and sustain the magic, because we are magical, is the art of collaboration and networking and supporting each other and lifting one another up. My husband and I were talking the other night about Kamala Harris, and he said after the election results, how amazing is it that the first ever female vice president of the United States of America is a Black woman? And I said, it is amazing. It is amazing. But let me tell you something. It is not by an accident.
Right.
Because we are knocking down doors.
That's right.
We are not asking permission. And then we are wedging something in the bottom of that door to drag as many sisters as we can through that door.
Yes.
And that is the art of collaboration and support. And I think what makes an organization like what you guys have built so incredibly special. Truly.
It's been quite the journey so far. And every
it.
person we talk to, we learn so much from. It's been really wonderful.
Well,
And
kudos to you guys.
we always think we have the answer, and then someone says something, we're like, oh, that's brilliant. That's
Or here's
Yeah.
another side to this. And I was
yeah.
I was interviewed by a very lovely woman tonight who was asking me questions from a black woman to a white woman and asked me, so what do white people think about this? So what do white people, so I was like, okay. So it was really the tables were turned on me tonight.
Yeah.
How powerful is that?
Very, very.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
she's fantastic. That's a podcast too. That's very special.
Yes, these three things podcast.
These
It's for
three
women
things,
of
I'm gonna write
color.
this down.
Yeah, it's for women of color.
Okay.
Yeah, she talks
Good.
about a lot
Awesome.
of different things. So tell us about the kids. Tell us their ages and what they're up to, and how's
Yeah.
life as a mom.
So we have 5 children. I'm so incredibly proud. I mean, they're the best things in my life. I mean, I know you guys
That's
feel
awesome.
this too, right? It doesn't make me special in any way. I love my kids more than anything. So we have one daughter, Tiara, who's 28 years old,
Mhm.
and 4 boys, Ray Ray, Walker, Wynn, and Whiston. They're 16,
Wow.
13, 11, and 8.
Very nice.
So I always say we have like a 7-piece extra crispy. You know, me and Ray and our 5 kids, we never get invited anywhere because we have too many mouths to feed. So everybody comes to our house, or at least they did before COVID.
Right.
But you know, they're all incredibly special in their own way. Tiara, I actually have the great fortune of sharing her. I'm not her biological mother.
Mhm.
Her mom, Rosalind, is amazing. It's my husband's high school sweetheart. And Tiara and I have been family since she was about 3. And truly the reason why I decided that I would someday love to be a mom. I you know, growing up, as a singer and an actress, and you know, being in a girl group on Motown Records and wanting to do TV and film, and also being the oldest of 3 girls, I think with a lot of responsibility, I really never saw myself as capable or having the desire of being a parent.
Wow.
I just thought this is going to be way too much work. I see how hard my mom works 90 hours a week. She pays
Yeah.
all the bills.
Yeah.
You know, she has to do all the things, and she's exhausted and overworked and underappreciated and undervalued, and like it's hard. And I don't know that I can do all of that. And
Right.
so in my own selfish way, I really never thought that I would be a parent, truthfully. I didn't think it was going to be in the cards for me, and I was fine with that. I wanted to be a career
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
And then, you know, I met and fell in love with my husband. I was 20, maybe he was 19. I mean, we were really
Mhm.
young. Maybe I was 21 and he was 20 in like 1996. It was a long time ago. And I mean, he was just so amazing. I was like, oh God, do I want to give this guy babies? Like, what is
Right.
happening right now? Like, I started to just reevaluate my
Right.
existence.
Yes.
And then I met Tiara, and she was just so beautiful and innocent and full of life.
Mhm.
And she was like this blank canvas. And she
Yeah.
just wanted to be loved and to be played with and to be taught and to have experiences. And I just thought, gosh, if kids are like this, I think I could do this. So Tiara's really my first child. And to this day, my easiest child. And I'm just am so blessed and grateful to her mom and dad that they've always shared her with me. And then the 4 boys who, I mean, my God, I didn't know that you could love anyone like you can love your children. You know, Ray Ray's 16 now, and I look at photos of him when he was a newborn, and I think, oh my God, how did this happen so fast? You guys know that
Right.
feeling. He's
Oh yeah.
driving, and I'm like, what happened? I remember when you were like, boobs, mommy. You know, when your whole life was about breastfeeding. So and then he's in, you know, he's got a 3.8, he's 3.8 GPA, and he's 6'2", and he's a basketball player, and he's got an incredible singing voice and a heart of gold.
Oh, nice.
Oh, they're all singers,
Good.
Donna.
No.
right.
Oh, wow.
They're all singers. And Ray Ray's brilliant, but he, you know, he's just incredibly kind. I remember teachers when he was little always saying like, gosh, you know, Ray, he's the kind of boy that like all the girls are obsessed with because he doesn't tease anyone, and
Mhm.
he'll say like, hey, you know, you've got a booger in your nose, you know, go to the bathroom, or
Mhm.
be careful, I don't want you to trip, let me help you tie your shoe. I mean, he's a nurturing person by nature, which is, you know, really unique, I think, for a 16-year-old boy. And then Walker,
Right.
my 13-year-old, Walker has type 1 diabetes, which you guys probably know and remember from our time in Boston. He was diagnosed when he was just 17 months old in a very dramatic fashion during the 2008 Lakers Celtics finals. And that really changed me as a person and us as a family, certainly, and our familial destiny and kind of how things work out in life. But diabetes is so hard that Walker makes everything look easy. I mean, he's gorgeous. He's brilliant. You know, he's a straight A student in the NYP program. He speaks Japanese. He sings, he dances, he raps, he chats, he plays 7 sports. There's literally nothing he can't do. And he's pure energy. You said you think I'm charismatic. I mean, Walker walks in the room and you're like, who is that? You know, he's just love. And so I'm very grateful that he's alive and thriving despite a very serious medical condition, autoimmune condition, a pre-existing condition. And then Winnie, my 11-year-old, guys, he's his father. I mean, he looks exactly like my husband.
Really?
He's a rules follower. I don't know if you guys have a rules follower in your house, but I mean, this guy's like, Mom, did you brush your teeth before you went to bed? I'm like, yeah, Win, I brushed my teeth. Mom, please don't use bad language. You know, you're doing that right. But he just is, again, he's just so smart and conscientious, and he just is so caring. And he's the sleeper hit. You know, he's his father. He wants to do everything the right way. And I'm so curious to see how things will happen with him. And then Whiston, our 8-year-old, is just, I hate to say this, but he's unbridled joy. He's my lucky son. He is passionate and enthusiastic and a goofball, and he's brilliant, and he always goes for the joke. And I think he and I are probably the most alike. So I always say my best friend is 8 years old, and we spend all of our time together. So I'm a blessed woman. You know, my kids are healthy, and my husband is healthy, and my parents are still alive. My mother-in-law and my father-in-law are good. My sister-in-law, my sisters, everybody's good. And I feel like in this year, if we've learned anything, to be alive, to be healthy, I mean, what else really matters?
Yeah, for sure.
Is your mother-in-law still running?
She's not running she ran the New York Marathon 2 years ago with 2 of her daughters. But she's been having some back issues, so she's been doing more like fast walking, but she still does half marathons. She still works out every day. She does spinning class and boot camp, and you know, she loves fitness. She loves fitness. I
remember her.
Yeah.
Well, she always looked fit, very fit.
And she
I do remember that.
Fit. Yeah.
That's great.
And she's amazing. You know, you wanna, if you could have a mother-in-law, you want one like Flo Allen Hobson. I mean, she just really, Yeah,
I really enjoyed her.
Well,
you know, I was thinking about a memory I have of you, and when it was the first couple of years of when you realized that your son had this horrible disease, and we were having lunch somewhere, and you had your cell phone out, and most people have their cell phones flipped down. You had yours flipped up, and you said, I have to leave this out on the table. And then you explained to me, I always have to be on and ready for if he needs me. And that just like, I'll never forget that. That was a moment that, and you asked me, we asked each other a question at this lunch, and the question was, what do you want out of life? And you know what you said to me? I want to find a cure for diabetes.
That's what I still want.
Yeah.
That's what I still want. If I could take it from him in a heartbeat, I would. You know, it's just one of those things that, I mean, Ray and I probably would kill each other trying to see who would be the one to be able to take it from him in a heartbeat, right? But it is hard, and it never gets easy when your kids are hurting. And again, like I said, diabetes is hard, so Walker makes life look easy. But what's not easy is the constant worry that he'll reach his full genetic potential, you know, that he'll live a full life, that he gets to live the life that, you know, of his own choosing. I mean, there are so many technological advances and medical advances, but he still has to prick his finger 7 to 10 times a day, you know, or use a continuous glucose monitor. He still needs 5 to 7 insulin injections. You know, when Walker gets sick, he gets really sick. And this global pandemic is terrifying for all of us because we all have our own stuff. We're not the only family that deals with a condition. There's a lot of worse things in the world. But having an autoimmune condition like type 1 diabetes puts Walker squarely at the top of the most at-risk list. So all of my kids are Zoom schooling, even though their friends are back in class. When my kids go to basketball practice, they're the only ones wearing masks. And my rule is if they take off their mask, even for a drink of water, basketball is over for them. And I can't waver on that. I mean, when I say that we're quarantining meticulously as a family, I don't leave my house. I don't leave my house. And, except for bike rides, or a walk in the neighborhood. But it is because the thought of Walker having to advocate for himself alone in a hospital, not just with the type 1, but with something like this, God forbid, is the thought that I just can't bear it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely scary times for a lot of families and for a lot of reasons, especially with children with underlying conditions. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you have a son who's 16.
Right.
That's big. So what is the thing he wants to do most next?
Oh, well, he wants a college scholarship to play basketball.
That's good. I'm glad to hear
most.
number one. But what else? A young man at 16 is also looking forward to doing something else.
Well, I will tell you that my husband gave us a quiz 2 nights ago of like people's names and songs, and then you put it all together and it kind of like tells a piece about your life. And Ray kind of said some songs and some people's names, and the last one was a song, and Ray said, so this last number 11, actually, the song that you said actually tells you like what's going on in your mind. And it was 21 Savage's, 10 Freaky Girls on a Yacht. And
there you have it.
Year-old boy.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And driving a car.
Exactly.
Yeah. How's that? Yeah. How's that experience for you as a mom, knowing he's driving now and
I'm the worst. I am the worst. I'm like the worst seat driver you could ever have because I'm nervous about everything and I don't want him to drive too fast or take a corner too fast. But I'm the one that's always in the car with him. I'm the one that fought for him to get his learner's permit. We went to 5 DMVs. He this was really important to him, and I recognize that it's important to him, so I wanted to make it happen. But I'm still very cautious because I think this is the first like real piece of equipment that he's ever had in his life that could kill him, and other people, right? And every single time he gets in the car, I always say to him, he buckles his seatbelt and he makes sure his phone is nowhere near him, and I always say to him, this vehicle could kill you. You have to treat it with the respect that it deserves. Right? It's not a toy. And, I say that because I almost killed my siblings in a car accident when I was 17 years old. So I understand, the severity of it and the massivity of what it could mean if you do it wrong. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of things that Ray wants. But we're living in a weird time right now, right? I mean, like, he's not dating. He's not able to go to the movies. Last year, he was able to go to movie dates or go bowling or like go over a friend's house. And he can't do any of that now. So in a way, I kind of bought myself an extra year, I think.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Another year of maturity too. Another year which adds maturity as well. So
yeah. But this has been a really weird year for Ray and I also. I mean, I think with all of the stuff that's been going on in the world with, police brutality, certainly, and racially motivated attacks and violence against Black and brown people, and especially young Black men, I have been very, very cautious with him about being outdoors. My cousins, my twin cousins who live in Connecticut have kids the exact same age as Ray. And they're best friends. I mean, they're second cousins, but they spend all of their time together in the summers. They quarantined, we quarantined, but they were the only kids you could see, and they would sleep at our house. He'd sleep at my uncle's house. And, there were a few times that the kids would go to the beach, and Ray would be like, well, Mom, I know you always are okay with us going to the town beach, but like, can you just drop us off? And I'm like, no, I can't. And he was like, well, everybody else is fine with it. I'm like, right, Ray, everybody else is fine with it. But I am not going to get a phone call that you're strung up on a tree somewhere or in the back of someone's pickup truck.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, but this is our reality.
Yeah.
our reality. And though your cousins are a quarter black, they're not, they don't look black, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
almost like white appearing or something like that. I don't even know what it is. But what I know is that I am not dropping you off at a beach somewhere by yourself. I'll sit 100 yards down the beach with my music and my
Mm.
beach chair and my umbrella and my cooler, and you guys can have a blast, a socially distanced blast. But you won't be out of my sight. That
Wow.
was like my own
Hmm.
paralyzing fear that's gotten increasingly worse. Um, Obviously we live in South Florida, so when Trayvon Martin was murdered, I was in a real panic. And then with Ahmaud Arbery and everything that happened with Breonna Taylor this summer, and obviously George Floyd, may he rest in peace. And it's been very paralyzing, and I've had
Yeah.
to really do the work of um, having faith, walking in faith, but also being very mindful of, just how violent it's been as of late, and how we need real change. We really need
Right.
real change.
Well, you brought up something that Donna and I have spoken about on several occasions, but as a mother, um, the paralyzing feeling of not being able to help your child once they're out of your reach or out of your vision, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something that just does not feel good. And I always talk about I have an app on my phone called Find My, and I stalk my children when they're not with me on that app. I can see what road they're driving on. I can see when they turn right, left, where they are. And if they're ever a place that I don't recognize, I call it, hey, how you doing? Yeah, where are you? But it's just such a paralyzing feeling. And we talk to different mothers and just try to find out how do they cope, how do they handle it, how do they manage through it, how do they kind of give their children the autonomy, but yet stay kind of vigilant for them, because they're at an age where they are so oblivious to some of this, because we have grown up through it and we have kind of barricaded them and comforted them from those type of injustices that are going on. And now that they're at their age where they're going to go out and really witness it firsthand, and we want to make sure that they're prepared. But it's how did he take it? How did he take it? Does he understand where you're going with it? And is it because of your upbringing or what you've told him growing up, or is it because of what's happening in society? Like, what really kind of made him realize that my mom is right? Because they never think we're right about anything.
I
They
know.
think we're overbearing. But because of everything that's happening in the world, they now understanding where we're coming from. And so what is it? What do you think it is? It's kind of, and how is he taking it all
I
at
think
that
that
age?
I think Ray's very smart. He has a lot of discernment, and I know that he knows that I'm overprotective, certainly. He's my firstborn son, and of course, I'm
Mm-hmm.
always worried about him. I know he has a target on his back. He looks just like his father. He shares the same name as his father. People are always going to be jealous for whatever reason.
Right.
But with respect to like racial violence and profiling, we are victims of this all the time. Dana, you know this. Like it
Mm-hmm.
nothing protects you. Being an athlete
Mm-hmm.
doesn't protect you. Having money in the bank
Right.
doesn't protect you. Living in a certain zip
Right.
code does not protect you.
Right.
And you and I can both sit here and rattle off injustices that we've experienced personally, or people in our
Yes.
families have experienced, and we could do this all night long. And I'm not going to bore
Right.
anybody with it. And then we also have, our own set of privileges, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That we could also talk about and speak about. But just in our little neighborhood, Ray has experienced racism, where
Mm-hmm.
he and Tierra have been on a paddleboard in our backyard. We live on the water, and the police have been called on them because people don't believe they could possibly live in this neighborhood.
Right.
And these
Right.
are our neighbors, you know. Um, Ray's an athlete. He plays track, he runs track and he plays basketball and he plays soccer. And I don't let him train in the neighborhood unless his father's with him.
Mm.
That's not the same as anyone else that lives on our little block. They go for runs, they go for
Yes.
rides. It's a free for all. But this child is, even though he's 6'2" and he's strong, I mean, he could put a body on you. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
allow it. And I know he gets it, even though he knows I'm overprotective and I'm worrisome, which is my job. I know he gets it, and I'll give you a perfect example. Right before the election, we were in Miami, and he has a scooter, and he was like, "No, I'm going to go on my scooter for a little while." And his dad was on his bike in front of him, And so his dad was on his bike and Ray was behind him on the scooter, and they were a couple hundred yards apart, and Ray FaceTimed me. And he was like, Mom, you're not going to believe it. I just saw something you hate. And I don't even like the word hate. And I was like, what? You saw rats? I'm terrified of rats. He was like, no, worse. I'm like, oh gosh, you saw a lizard. You saw like an iguana or something crazy. And he was like, no, Mom, worse. And I was like, I don't know. Rats and iguanas, that feels like the top of my list. Like, unless it was like something like a dead animal, what?
Right.
And he said, 6 guys in a golf cart with Make America Great Again hats just followed me.
Oh.
So now my heart is in my throat, right? And I was like, where's your dad? And he was like, he's a little bit further ahead of me. I said, just turn around and come home. And he's like, okay, Mom, I'm on my way. It wasn't like, no, Mom, you're overreacting. They're just people. They're our neighbors. No, he was like, okay, Mom, you're right. I'm on my way. So, you know, I believe that he understands that there is a risk, that there is danger. It doesn't stop him from being who he is. Thank God.
Right.
He hasn't lost that light in his eye. You know, it hasn't forced him to shrink who he is. He doesn't apologize for the oxygen he takes up in the room. He has a lot of confidence. And I'm so grateful to God for that, because I think that's part of it. I said to my husband, Ray, about a month ago, I said, gosh, you know, it is so scary to me how probably since the beginning of time, but certainly since the beginning of time in this country, fear is the constant companion of the Black woman.
Amen, sister. That's,
you know,
yes.
And it's real and it's pervasive, and it's based on stress and trauma and anxiety and ancestral trauma. You know, epigenetic stuff we're carrying in our DNA. You know, this feeling of, and it's simple stuff. Donna, you probably have heard this, you know, and Dania, I know you have. When there's a milestone in our family, right? What do people always say? Can nobody take it from you?
Yes.
Like I remember my grandmother used to always say, go as far as you can with your education, because it's something that nobody can take from you.
That's right.
And it's so common to hear that you never really think about, well, what does that actually mean? Who is taking stuff from somebody?
Yeah.
People are taking everything. Been taking everything. Take your husband out of your home. Take your kids out of your home. Put you on a block. Sell you. Whip you. Beat you. Steal your music, your dance, your language, your culture, your food. How you wear your hair. You know, everything. Steal it all. Your religion. All of it. Steal all of it. Take your babies right off your breast.
Yes.
Right? So I want them to know what it is. But I also don't ever want them to forget who they are, because in spite of the fear, we still thrive. Right. And so hopefully that is what Ray and I are pouring into them, to be very aware, to be very conscious of who they are and their surroundings at all times. And if something doesn't feel right, to get up and go.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just a little bit of my experience with my sons, I think you're right. They're cognizant of what's happening in the world around them. And it's on every news channel. It's on every day of the week. It's no longer something that's just taboo or not spoken of. It's become an everyday language in this country. So I kind of feel like it's helping me help them be aware and be better. And because, you know, from coming from me over and over and over, you know, Mom, I'm going to the store. Yeah, but it's 11 p.m. Are you sure you want to? Yeah, Mom, I'm just going down the street. They don't understand. But now when I say, but it's 11 p.m., they're thinking, okay, it's 11 p.m. If I get stopped, how would I be perceived? What should I say? What should I do? So they're a little bit more vigilant and cognizant of how they are supposed to. Now, fair or unfair, right or wrong, who knows, right? But as it's our job as mothers to give them the tools to survive.
Amen. Yeah.
You know, it's our job to give them the tools to survive in this country. And I think we were doing that. And that's what this platform is. We want to hear from moms. We want to hear from mothers like you and everyone else that we've interviewed, given different nuggets, advice, resources. This is how to handle it. This is what to say. You know, so many different things to all the young mothers or mothers who are struggling, trying to figure out how to help their children survive in this world. We're putting together a platform so everyone can have something to fall back on and say, hey, I remember Shannon Allen said this, or Judge Christina Perez said this, or Wanda Durant said this. We hear, and even to begin the conversation, we have to be there for one another. We have to pull each other along as women, as Black women, and now as mothers in an unjust society. We want to help one another out, and I think that's what this is all about. So definitely appreciate your perspective.
God.
But it goes beyond, it's something that it's a human condition. And in order for this to stop, this is the point Jane, you and I are trying to make, is that we all have to stand up and say no more. As mothers, how Jane, you and I even began was when, it was right after George Floyd. And when he called for his mother, he was calling for me, all mothers. And we needed to say as mothers that we don't want anyone else's child to die this way, right? So how do we stop this? So we open this dialogue and start trying to understand the different perspectives and how we can help each other, and what do we do next, and how do we stop this, and how do we start to celebrate diversity rather than be afraid of it.
I love it, guys. I love what you're doing. It's interesting. A friend of mine, she has type 1 actually, really special lady. About 2 weeks ago, right after the election, she called me and said, I know that people are angry. People that are Republicans are angry. People that are Democrats are angry. People that are Black are angry. People that are, people of color, white are angry. Hispanics are angry. Muslims are angry. People are angry. And male, female, gender non-specific, however people define themselves, people are feeling angry and anxious. And she was saying, I would love to sit down with you and have a conversation with you about how we can figure out some common ground. And we actually never got together because I'm not taking any in-person meetings, but you guys are already doing it. So I actually link you guys with her. Her name's Isabel Allen.
That would be awesome.
She's amazing. And she's a total rock star mom. But yeah, I feel like it's time. There's got to be a bridging of the gap here. And I think you're so right, Donna, that when George Floyd called out for his mom, he was calling out for moms in general. I saw after he passed away, may he rest in peace, one of his teachers released a piece of artwork that he had done when he was like 8 years old. He went by the name Percy in school, George Percy Floyd. And it said Percy Floyd on it. And it was a piece that he had to write about what he wanted to be when he grew up. And he wanted to be a Supreme Court judge. And it was a photo of him in the whole garb with a gavel. And the piece that he wrote said, and I will stand up in front of the world and I will bang my gavel. And I will say, you're going to listen to me.
Powerful.
And then when I saw that, I thought to myself, oh my God, does God have a plan? Because obviously we much prefer for this man to be here on earth. But did the whole world shut up while this man banged his gavel?
That's right.
That's right. It's been a journey for us, and we're so happy that you're here with us. And I guess what we're wondering, are your children involved? What are they thinking about? Like, have they seen, for instance, all the protests on television? And what are they thinking about everything? What's
They've
their
seen all the
perspective?
protests. They've also protested. We made signs and we went to some protests.
Okay.
And we don't hide information from our kids. I mean, Ray and I, we're probably doing everything wrong. I don't know. Our kids watch all the movies with the language and the whole spiel. So they've seen Ava DuVernay's When They See Us about the Exonerated Five, formerly known as the Central Park Five. They've seen Schindler's List. They've seen The 13th, which is about the 13th Amendment, and it's about essentially, institutionalized racism, right? So they've seen so many movies and about what happens when there are crimes against humanity, when people turn against each other and forget to celebrate diversity and instead turn towards fear. I mean, as a family, we went to Auschwitz last Thanksgiving. We went to Poland.
Amazing.
My husband did sit on the Holocaust Museum Memorial Board for 5 years. And so we took a group of students to Poland and we went. And I mean, that was a transformative experience, I think,
I'm sure.
certainly for the
Yeah.
boys. But yeah, they definitely are seeing all of it. You know, my 8-year-old, his this is terrible, but of all the things that happened, right, the thing that he's most obsessed about is the word Karen, right, which is like
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes.
kind of a derogatory word for just, well,
A,
whatever.
a nosy body.
Nosy bodies
A
out
race.
here
A
in
race.
everybody's
A racist
business.
nosy body, right?
Right. So, but it's actually, you have to laugh about it so you don't cry. But I'll come home
Right.
and tell them some story about something from the grocery store, or whatever. He'll be like, "Mom, that sounds like a Karen."
Yeah.
So yes, they are very aware of what's happening in the world.
I love
Right.
children.
Well, that's great.
Fabulous.
That's great.
So, words of wisdom. Do we have any words of wisdom to other mothers out there?
Oh man. I mean, I guess the one thing that I always think of is please, 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 if you ever see somebody's child that is being mistreated, please, 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 please stand up for them the way that you would wish somebody would stand up for your own child.
Amen.
Yep, done
Donna, I think Shannon's been listening to our interviews.
it.
No!
Do you know this one right here or there, wherever she is on the thing? Let her tell you about her story where she stopped on the highway
Really?
Yeah.
to watch a traffic stop.
You
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
Donna.
Yeah, she
Yes,
did.
and I
Man.
got a ticket for doing it. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yep. The
Yes.
state trooper came and gave me a ticket. He said, "Why are you stopped?" And I said, "I'm just watching." You know, because it was a young man of
Yeah.
color. And it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and he's having him do, like, I could tell he's doing a sobriety test. Obviously, he passed it. He's sitting on the guardrail, and I said, "Okay, what's going to happen next?" And I just stayed and watched to make sure. I said, "Okay, he's run his plate. It must be good. So why is he every door, trunk, everything's wide open? He obviously didn't find anything." I'm saying, "Okay, what's going to happen next?" The trooper was so mad at me for staying. You have no idea. And I just said, "Nah, we're going to just stay." Gave me a ticket, and I just waited it out, and I didn't move. And you know what? It was no harm. It was easy to do. I didn't interfere.
Yeah.
I just watched. I was the observer. Yeah.
And you know
you're
what,
right.
Donna? You probably will never admit to this because I know your heart, but you may have saved that young man's life. And that is the world we're living in, right? So you're asking, what are the words of wisdom? We need more Donnas in the world. We don't just need more allies. We need more accomplices.
Yes.
So we need
Yes.
moms to step up.
Well, that's what I was a mother. I said, "I'm going to watch this kid."
Yeah.
He's a cute kid. And I said, nothing was going to happen to me, you know, but you're right. You know, so maybe he got to drive home to his mom that night, right?
That's right. So less Karens, more Donnas.
Amen. Let's do a math equation.
Less Karens, more Donnas.
That's
I think that if we all just kind of quietly just stand up and say, "I'm just going to watch. The old white lady's going to watch what you're doing." He didn't like it, but too bad.
Yeah.
You know, and if more of us stand up, and we don't have to be shouting or screaming, we just have to say, I'm watching you.
Absolutely.
You know,
and
I mean,
that is someone's child. That's someone
Yeah.
who we care about. Someone
Right.
cares for him. Treat his life with care. You know,
Right.
but do whatever you can to make sure he drives away and goes back home to his mother.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And it was so easy to do. It took 20 minutes of my life, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And a ticket.
It was worth it. Whatever it was worth it. I
$55.
There you go.
So that child's life cost $55 that day. Big deal, right?
Amen.
Anyway, but it's
So
so
thank
good
you. Yeah,
to
this
catch
has
up
been great.
with you.
Yeah.
Yes, I love seeing you guys.
Yeah. Well, we have to send you a shirt, Mothers Against Racism.
Please.
And we have masks that go with them. So we'll make sure we get your address and send it to you. We're kind of selling them on Shopify. Is that what it is, Donna?
Yep. We have a website.
But
We're selling
a website trying to, that's, we don't know where we're going with this, what we're doing. All we know is this is very essential and is needed.
Mhm.
And we hope it'll be part of a change. We hope we're moving the needle. And we just love talking to mothers and sharing our passions, sharing our stories, sharing our, need for change every Wednesday night. We don't know where we're going to go with this nonprofit, but this right here is fulfilling I know for myself, and I'm sure for Donna too. And every guest that's been on has just really loved being a part of it. So we don't know what it is, but if you could share, if you could just, whatever you can do, just get mothers to listen and watch and become a part of it. I think we have something really special brewing here, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with Donna, and she's been wonderful. She's been great.
You guys are the dream team. I'm so grateful that you guys asked me to be on with you. And you guys, first of all, neither one of you guys have aged. I feel like we're like in a time warp right now.
You haven't either.
I have white hair. I'm an old lady.
You look great.
I'm just like,
You
wow.
haven't either. Yeah.
Yeah, Dania, I wanted to tell you really quickly. You said that the app that you use, because I want to tell you about an app really quick before we go. The app that you use when your boys are traveling, you said it's called Find My?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to tell you about another one really quickly.
Okay.
It's called Bond.com. It's a platform, but it goes into an app. Basically what it is it's like $10 a month. It's no money, but it's like having your own security service for your kids.
Oh.
So it doesn't take the place of law enforcement, right? I mean, there's still a law enforcement component, but for anything that's under the realm of like 911, like 911 is a place where hopefully we never have to exist, right? But everything underneath that, like getting into an Uber and feeling uncomfortable, or arriving in a city you've never been before, or someone comes to your door that you don't recognize. And for people in certain populations who don't historically have great relationships with the police, i.e. us, having this platform at your disposal, which also obviously is an app, whenever you're feeling unsettled, you just click a button on your phone and there's a person that's a face that starts recording.
Oh.
So now you're not alone in a parking lot, in a new city, at an airport, in a place where maybe you don't speak the language, in a ride share, at an Airbnb. If someone approaches you at a mall, a Karen, and they seem out of control, now you have someone that's on the line with you. And if it escalates, they communicate with 911. They're speaking to law enforcement the whole time. So this weird thing of like, I don't know if you guys saw that story a few months ago where there were some kids playing in the park and they got harassed by some people that were exhibiting racist behavior. And folks called the police and said, hey, there's, these 11 and 12-year-olds that are just playing in the park, socially distanced. And these people that are racist just started, harassing them. And when the police came, they actually attacked the 11 and 12-year-old instead of the real perpetrators. So with the bond, they're actually communicating with law enforcement to say, like, this is who it is, this is what they're wearing, this is what I need you to do, etc. So check it out.
At $10 a month, that's pretty good.
And for Terrence, I know he has access now to NBA security, but if he goes to an NBA city and he ever wants an actual security guard, $30 to have completely vetted staff. It could be male, could be female, could be armed, could be not. These are like ex-Secret Service and military that could just show up, make sure he arrives in a city okay, get him to his hotel, and then leave. So check it out. It's
very good. Gonna look into it. Definitely. Yeah. We'll look into that for sure.
That's what I have on my phone.
That'll help me sleep better at night too.
That's a great share.
Great. Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so very much. And I'm sure we will continue our little talking and engagement after, outside of this realm. But we really need to stay in better contact and continue to empower one another.
Please.
Thank you so very much, Shannon. It's great seeing you. Please tell Ray.
Goodbye.
Tell Ray we said hello.
I will.
Tell Ray we said hello.
Okay. All right.
And the kids as well.
All right. Take care. God bless you guys. Stay safe and healthy.
You too, honey.